Well, the executive luxury segment in India really has been a one-horse race, completely being dominated by the Toyota Corolla standing here besides me. So has the new model got what it takes to replicate the success of the outgoing one? We've decided to check the answer to that question by taking along a VW Jetta with us. Well, this is the place where most Jetta owners will be spending their time in the back seat, and as you can see, knee room is really generous, and I have got place below the front seats where I can stretch my feet at. Headroom is pretty okay as well, and nothing to complain about. Where the car really impresses is in the build quality department. Now VW have put in the best materials in this car. You also get AC vents at the back, and you get big door bins which can generally house those big 1 litre bottles. The only downside, of course, is that there is a huge transmission tunnel over here, and what that means is that whoever's going to sit in the middle is going to struggle with legroom and fight with the other occupants. So what you need to do is ask whoever's sitting here not to sit over here, and you pull out this armrest, which also has 2 cup holders, and sit tight and relax on that long highway trip. Well, here I am now inside the Corolla's back seat, and just like Corollas of the older generation, this is really a good place to be. Headroom, as you can see, is pretty good, and knee room is really impressive as well. And of course, I have a place below the front seat where I can stretch my legs at, and I have adjusted the front seat as always from my driving position, and my height for reference is 5'10". The other good part about the Corolla seats is the excellent cushioning, and it is one of the better cars in terms of seat comfort. But the other good part, of course, about the Corolla's rear seats is that you can adjust the backrest angle for your preference. So if you are someone who doesn't really like to relax and lay back and wants to sit upright, you can of course do this and sit in a more commanding position. But in terms of rear seat comfort, the Corolla really wins over the Jetta, and that's largely due to the fact that it's got a more wider cabin at the back, and also there's no tunnel over here. So what that means is that it's a genuine 3-seater, and whoever is sitting here will be comfortable even on the longest of journeys. There are no AC vents over here like the Jetta. It still offers better comfort, and that means that this car wins the battle of the rear seat. Well, here I am now in the front seats of the new Jetta, and this is a great place to be in, just like the rear seats. Quality levels are absolutely first rate, and even the lower end of the dashboard is really made from the best materials possible in this segment, and the VW Jetta clearly has the edge over all its rivals in terms of sheer build quality as well as the materials used. Well, in terms of safety equipment, the Jetta is really solid because it comes with 6 airbags, ABS as well as traction control. You also get other equipment like automatic climate control, which is dual zones, and you also get the obligatory Bluetooth connection for your telephone as well as stereo controls over here on the steering wheel. Well, special mention must be made of the Jetta steering wheel, which is of course flat bottomed over here, and it really is one of the better steering wheels to grip in this competitive executive luxury segment. Well, so here I am now inside the cabin of the new Corolla Altis, and the first thing you will notice is that the dashboard design, even though it is modern and funky and not like the Jetta's boring design, doesn't feel as well put together or as well made as the one on the Jetta. And even though the black and beige works really well, this plasticky material in the middle around the stereo system really feels very cheap and seems to be borrowed from the much cheaper Toyota Etios. Well, other Corolla strengths like excellent cushioning on the seats remains, and these seats really are one of the best in its segment for sheer comfort. And if you are planning a long trip, this is a great car to be in because you will come out of it relaxed and as fresh as when you started the trip. Well, anyone planning to buy an executive luxury car will really look at the boot capacity, and that's one area where the Jetta truly impresses. As you can see, the aperture is pretty wide, and what that means is that if you are someone who enjoys playing golf, then chucking that golf bag into this boot should not be an issue at all. Well, in terms of boot capacity, the Toyota Corolla comes with a 470-litre boot. It's a very deep and spacious boot, but it simply cannot match the 510 litres on the VW Jetta. So this round of the boot goes to the German rival. Well, the Jetta comes with a choice of diesel and petrol engines. There's a 1.4 petrol motor. There's also a 2-liter diesel engine, which also is shared with the Skoda Octavia. Well, don't go by the engine capacity alone, because the Jetta is deceptively quick, and this engine just needs to be revved up to deliver phenomenal performance. Well, to say that the Jetta is brisk would be an understatement, because this engine is really phenomenal in terms of power delivery. It comes with a 6-speed gearbox. So what that extra 6th gear does on the Jetta is that it gives the engine greater flexibility, and if you are someone who really does enjoy those highway trips, then all you need to do is just slot it into the 6th gear and sit on the accelerator at 110, 120, and the Jetta's quietness levels are really very good, and the Jetta is one of those few cars where you can actually hear a pin drop. Well, where the Jetta also impresses is in the feedback from the steering wheel, and unlike some of its rivals like the Toyota Corolla Altis as well as the Chevrolet Cruze, this car is very genuine in terms of the feedback, and the steering wheel has a lot of weight in it, and what that means is it doesn't feel nervous or flimsy like some of its rivals, and is a great car to push around into that corner. It's got a very flat ride, and what that means is that it remains very stable on most surfaces, and even if you do encounter that little rumble strip in the middle of the highway and you want to fly on top of it, this car will remain rock solid. Also, in terms of driving dynamics, the Jetta is really hard to fault. Well, so here I am now driving the new Corolla, and this car of course comes with 2 engine options. There's a 1.8 liter petrol option which develops about 138 bhp of power, and there's the diesel option. Now this is of course a 1.4 liter diesel which develops about 87 bhp of power. Well, the one word to describe the Corolla's performance is relaxed. This is a car which really makes you feel very calm and very peaceful inside the cabin, and that's largely due to the fact that all the controls, including the steering wheel, the clutch as well as the gearbox, are really light and very accurate to use. Well, when compared to the VW Jetta's engine, the diesel version of the Toyota really does trail, because that car of course has a lot more power to offer. Also, the Jetta feels more planted when you are doing higher speeds. Well, another area where the Corolla falls back from the Jetta is in the handling department, because the Jetta of course, remember, has that very communicative steering wheel. So 2 areas where the Corolla really lags behind is in performance as well as in handling from the VW Jetta. Well, unlike the Jetta, which of course has a much more tighter and tauter suspension setup, the Corolla has that softish suspension setup, and what that means is that when you are pushing this car into the corner, it does lean around a lot, and sometimes you can also lean with it if you are pushing it on the right or the left. And what that body roll means is that this Corolla isn't really an outright driver's car. Well, when it comes to the competitive executive luxury segment, these 2 cars are at the opposite ends of each other. The Corolla comes across as a solid package, but that said, the VW Jetta feels a lot more luxurious and is well worth the extra price.